In this episode, we are summarizing the second episode from Season 5 of the Wire series titled Unconfirmed Reports. The episode first aired on January 13th, 2008. In the beginning, Dee Dee, a recovering drug addict, attends a Narcotics Anonymous meeting where she opens up about her struggles. She reveals how addiction led her to betray the values she once held, even resorting to prostitution. Overcome with emotion, she describes how her inner cravings for narcotics still haunt her, threatening her recovery. Wallen, who chairs the meeting, calls on Bubbles to speak after Dee Dee, as there is time left. Bubbles, who is 15 months clean so far, tries to entertain the group with his humorous recollection of the dope fiend Lean he used to adopt while he was high. However, he struggles to confront his deeper emotions and leaves the floor early as an escape. Wallen later talks to him, urging him to open up and to acknowledge his pain rather than hiding behind humor. After the meeting, Wallen chastises Bubbles for avoiding his feelings and emphasizes that true recovery involves confronting and expressing regret. Bubbles confesses that he lives with his past every day, and Wallen encourages him to let his emotions out as part of the healing process. At Viva House, a community center where Bubbles seeks support, he observes the tense interactions between staff and troubled visitors, including Dee Dee, who is struggling with her own issues. Wallen again pushes Bubbles to get involved, not just to speak in meetings, but to engage with life more directly. Though initially reluctant, Bubbles agrees to help at the center by cleaning instead of serving food, showing his effort to contribute despite the emotional barriers he is facing. Later on, we see Lester Freeman and Sid Noor continue building a case against corrupt Senator Klay Davis. They are piecing together evidence that links Davis to illegal campaign fundraising schemes. Freeman is invested in this case because of its far-reaching implications, believing that uncovering Davis's network will expose the deep corruption in Baltimore. The pair also reflects on the withdrawal of surveillance against Marlo Stanfield, speculating that Stanfield is likely celebrating his newfound freedom. Freeman sets up surveillance on a street where Marlo meets with his enforcers Chris and Snoop. Meanwhile, Assistant State's Attorney Rhonda Perlman instructs the detectives to start with the peripheral details of their case and work their way in, focusing on Davis before moving to higher targets. Sid Noor wonders if Davis expects an indictment, but Perlman insists that Davis, like many politicians, must constantly worry about it. Davis, meanwhile, is agitated about the case against him and tries to pressure Commissioner Irvin Burell into helping him by reminding Burell of the past favors he has done for him. Burell, however, is unable to intervene due to his loyalty to Mayor Tommy Garcetti and the legal risks involved in trying to help Davis. As we catch up with Marlo's crew, we see he is now free from surveillance and he is able to reassert his dominance. He orders the assault on Webster Franklin's drug crew for refusing to accept his package. Marlo also gives the order to kill Junebug, who has been bad-mouthing him, and Omar Little, who had previously stolen from him. However, Snoop reports that Omar has retired, and Marlo insists on bringing him back into the game, one way or another. Marlo later visits Jessup Correctional Institution to meet Sergei Molotov, but finds Avon Barksdale waiting for him instead. Barksdale offers a deal. He will arrange for Marlo to meet Molotov, but only if Marlo sends $100,000 to his sister Brianna. Marlo agrees, and they discuss their mutual interests in controlling the drug trade. Avon, despite his own history with Marlo, offers his help out of loyalty to West Baltimore. Marlo returns to prison to finalize the meeting with Molotov, who dismisses both the prison system and Marlo's efforts. Molotov does not see any value in Stanfield's approach, but agrees to set up a meeting with the Greeks, provided that Marlo handles the money through Spiros Vandas. Snoop and Parlo plan the hit on Junebug, with Parlo rationalizing the murder as necessary to preserve Marlo's reputation. They wait for Junebug's crew at his home, where Michael Lee, the youngest enforcer, is told to kill anyone attempting to escape. Despite some hesitation, the murder goes as planned. However, a child flees from the house, and Michael does not shoot him, reflecting a crack in the enforcer's hardened demeanor. We see Michael has a heart after all. He is not like Snoop or Parlo. In the political world, Mayor Tommy Garcetti struggles with the realities of running the city while planning a potential run for governor. He is frustrated by the lack of tangible results despite significant investments in the school system. How could that be? Meanwhile, State Delegate Odell Watkins highlights the complications involving political corruption, particularly regarding State Delegate Nerese Campbell and her ties to the drug trade. Garcetti's team worries about the potential backlash Campbell's scandal might have on his political future. At the Baltimore Sun, Gus Haynes and his colleagues discuss the newspaper's role in shaping public perception. Haynes reflects on the challenges of reporting the truth while navigating the demands of management. Meanwhile, the new reporter, Scott Templeton, pitches a sentimental story about a mother who died from an allergic reaction to crab meat. Despite concerns about the story's authenticity, Templeton insists on publishing it. Haynes, skeptical about the story's credibility, confronts Templeton after finding inconsistencies in his narrative. Templeton's story about a boy named EJ allegedly injured by a stray bullet becomes the subject of controversy when Haynes cannot verify the details. Despite Haynes' concerns, executive editor James Whiting decides to publish the story, prioritizing the emotional appeal over journalistic rigor. Later on, we see the homicide unit is faced with budget cuts and understaffing. McNulty, growing increasingly frustrated, faces a series of setbacks in his investigation. He is forced to take public transportation to a crime scene only to find that the department's resources are in disarray. At the crime scene, McNulty displays signs of mental strain, upsetting his colleagues around him. In a separate case, Bunk and McNulty investigate the murder of a mother initially believed to be natural but later found to have been smothered. The case is tied to the larger issue of underfunded investigations, and McNulty's personal frustrations about the systemic failures lead him to act irrationally. Later, Freeman, concerned about the case against Marlo Stanfield, proposes reaching out for outside support. He and McNulty approach FBI agent Fitz, who is initially hesitant but agrees to bring the case to his superiors. The FBI ultimately denies the request for help due to political factors and resource prioritization, leaving Freeman and McNulty feeling even more marginalized by the bureaucracy. In a bar, the three detectives lament the political environment that allows systemic issues like the drug violence that they see to continue to persist. They discuss how the investigation into Marlo Stanfield and the vacant murder cases he was a part of has been stalled, almost intentionally, with McNulty asserting that if the victims were middle class, the case would have received more attention. The investigation continues to falter as McNulty and his team navigate the political and institutional obstacles that prevent meaningful progress in the case. While the police face numerous challenges, including the internal corruption we have all seen, lack of resources, and bureaucratic infighting, the cases of young black victims remain under the radar, viewed as less important by both the public and the authorities. That was episode number 52, titled Unconfirmed Reports. To watch the next or previous episode summary, click on the link in the description or at the end of this video. If you made it to the end of this video, remember I am summarizing this entire series as well as other popular works of culture like literature, movies, and TV shows. I have the playlists of our summaries in the description. Also, if you found the video to be valuable, share it with a friend and click like so that YouTube can recommend it to other viewers just like you. The best way to support this channel is by becoming a Patreon supporter, purchasing something from our merchandise store, or buying us a coffee. You will find those links in the description. Doing this helps the channel out tremendously. I truly thank you for your support.